We'll be focusing on the state of the nation and the politicization of critical issues. So from the economy to security, education and even disaster response, Nigerians often feel that real problems are turned into political talking points. For instance, while inflation has eased slightly, the cost of living remains very high, yet instead of practical solutions, politicians are busy trading blame. Now, insecurity is another pressing issue. Insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, and farmer-herder clashes elsewhere. But rather than united action, what we see too often is political rivalry overshadowing the pain of communities. Education too suffers from prolonged strikes to underfunding, while students and parents are left stranded. And just recently, devastating floods displaced thousands in states like Kogi and Anambra, Adamu, yet even that humanitarian crisis has been dragged into politics. So this morning, we ask, how does politicization of these issues affect governance and development? And what can be done to refocus attention on solutions rather than rhetoric? Joining us via phone call from Yola in Adamu State to share his insight is Dr. Agoso Bamaiyi, a renowned policy and development strategist. Good morning and thank you for joining us, Dr. Bamaiyi.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Good morning.
All right. With this issue, when it comes to politicizing, issues in Nigeria, I would like to ask, as a policy and development strategist, how has politicization of a national discourse evolved in the last decade, particularly under the current administration compared to previous ones? At least should I say a preview of what happened in the last decade in comparison with what is going on at this moment?
Well, since 1999, the trust that Nigerian citizens have in the government has dropped drastically. The Nigerians, generally no longer trust the government. They don't trust anything the government says or government spokespersons or politicians. They don't take it seriously, and it's a gradual decline that has gotten worse. The reason mainly is because, of course, there's the issue of corruption, but then there's also the issue of politicizing basic issues, and where government is supposed to act fairly to everybody. We have had situations since 1999 to this point where government will prefer to act on behalf of people who voted for them, people who politically align with those who are in government, and people who the government feels they can get political returns from them. So as a result, citizens do not, that trust that is supposed to exist between government and the governed, it's no longer there. And like I said, it's gotten worse, and right now, it is at the worst state. It's far worse than it has ever been. I mean, just have discussion in the street with Nigerians and mention the government and hear the kind of response you get. You look at the responses that citizens give to government functionaries when they visit communities during town hall meetings, the way citizens respond. There's just no more trust. But it's not just the issue of trust. When you politicize fundamental issues that are supposed to be neutral, such as education, health, food security, general security itself, and even things that have to do with a response to disaster that you mentioned earlier. When you do that, you actually, affect the development of the next generation. There are lots of Nigerians who are in places that have not been politically favored, and as a result, their children are not accessing quality education. They are not getting the health care they ought to get and all that. That affects the development of the children, and down the road, you are not going to get the best human capital that we should get simply because things have been politicized. You know, I always tell people, you don't know who or what anybody will become down the road. This same person who, for political reasons, you're pushing them aside, their children might turn out to be the inventors, the discoverers, you know, that we need as a country down the road to rise up to our potential. So normally government should consider everybody as its citizen and work for the good of everybody. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, it hasn't been like that. And like I said, it's at the worst state right now.
All right, Dr. Bamaiyi, let's look at particular issues that we know have been bedevilant in Nigeria. Let's take a look at insecurity, which we know remains a major concern across various regions, like banditry in the north, west, insurgency in the northeast, and so on and so forth. Do you think political affiliations or sentiments are interfering with unified and national security responses?
You know, to a large extent, insecurity began in Nigeria as a result of politics. We all know how Boko Haram started. It was political leaders in Borno at that time, you know, that brought in these young people as political muscles, you know, and armed them. And then if you pick a hyena from the wilderness and domesticate it, when it tests blood, it's going to get out of hand, and that's what happened. So the birth of insurgency in Nigeria was actually political, and then it became religious, became economical. It grew and you know, developed various aspects to it, various branches, so to say. So yeah. The issue of insecurity and insurgency in Nigeria was actually started with politicization of issues that should be treated neutrally, you know, because politicians want to keep to power and all that. We still see that today. Unfortunately, I do not believe that the Nigerian army and other security agencies cannot put a total halt to the insurgency that is ongoing in Nigeria. We have soldiers that are properly trained, but with the equipment they have and all that, they can do these things. But political interference has been affecting this. I mean, you hear utterances like when soldiers are going all out to deal with issues of insecurity, you're going to hear politicians talking about they're killing our people, etc., etc. I mean, a criminal is a criminal. It doesn't matter where he comes from. I mean, if my brother is a criminal, I'll treat him as a criminal. It's as simple as that. But unfortunately, for political reasons, you have interference in the operations of the security agencies, and as a result, simple issues that can be dealt with and the security provided for the people has been going on unresolved for a very long time, and is showing us to the world, as a country is showing Nigeria to the world as people that lack the ability to govern themselves. Unfortunately, it's a very bad thing, but again, it started with political interference, and it's continuing today, not because we lack the capacity to resolve this insurgency, but simply because there's a continuing political interference. And that's the truth of the matter. I know politicians will not agree, but we keep seeing this. Those of us who are neutral and are watching this, we know that it is continuing because of the political interference that is going on.
So
So, Dr. Bamaiyi, do you think that, politicians do these things on purpose, or is just a way, or is the way politics, on a normal works both in Nigeria and even outside Nigeria?
Well, politics normally shouldn't be like this. I know that in politics, you always consider what gives you advantage, and politicians constantly work for advantage. You want to have political advantage so you can have power if you are outside power. If you are in power, you want to have political advantage so you can perpetuate yourself, continue to have power, continue to control power, and all that. But what we are saying is that in seeking advantage, there should be, there should be a line on the ground that we do not cross. There are issues that are sacrosanct, that every politician, regardless political affiliation, regardless the region they come from, regardless their religion, every politician should take these issues seriously. Issues of education, every Nigerian deserves education, whether he's politically affiliated with people in government or not. Health, food security, issues of nutrition, these are things that are foundational to the development of the country, to the future of the country. I mean, we want to hand over to young people who are healthy, people who are well educated, people who are secure, etc., etc. And as a result, we must work from a neutral angle to make sure that we give these things to Nigerians without political consideration, without political affiliation. So there are things that are sacrosanct. When it comes to security, every Nigerian should have security, regardless their political affiliation or the region they come from. Now, that is how politicians need to think. That is how they need to work. That is how they need to operate. But unfortunately, it's not like that in Nigeria. Now, we must not accept that that is politics. That is not politics. I mean, politics should have a line on the ground that it never crosses. And that's what I just mentioned now. But when we have a situation where we constantly cross that line and we do everything just to have political advantage, then it's no longer good politics. It's not working for the good of the people. It's not working for the good of the nation. And we should resist that kind of politics. And that's why people like us and many other Nigerians are talking about this. We write about these things, we talk about these things, because we need our politicians to understand that there are things that you must give to everybody, whether they voted for you or not. You should work for their welfare, work for their benefit, strengthen the economy in ways that everybody benefits, spread prosperity in such a way that everybody gains from it, through education, healthcare system, etc., so that we all benefit and we all grow from this. That's where we should get to in Nigeria. Unfortunately, we're not there.
All right. Speaking of the economy, when it comes to economic policies and reforms, do you believe that economic debates in Nigeria, such as the minimum wage negotiations, taxation, as well as foreign loans, are increasingly being politicized when it comes to it and at the expense of objective analysis here?
That's right. I mean, it works from both sides, the side of the opposition and also those in government. When I talk about those in government, on the side of those, when I talk to show it from the side of those in government, I believe that at the state level, national level, we have taken some loans that we shouldn't take. And these are loans that we're going to struggle with paying back in the future, simply because those in power want to do things, want to do projects, showy projects, just to show off that, yeah, we're doing something. So we've pushed ourselves into depths unnecessarily, simply because those who are in power would want to show that they're doing something. Unfortunately, as it has been in the case, we've seen this, and these things are well documented. A lot of these loans that we take that are enslaving us as a nation do not really end up in doing the projects that they were originally taken for. But basically, they end up in the pockets of people in government and all that. Then on the opposition side, there are policies that government pushes that actually are for the good of the people. And these things, if accepted and supported and executed, will actually work for the good of the nation. But then you have people in opposition look at it, they know it, simply because they don't want the people in power to have credit, so that people don't say, yeah, these people are good, they work for our good. Then they go all out to destroy the policy. They speak against it, they write against it, they work against it. Not that it's not a good policy, but simply because they feel it will give credit. I mean, if they eventually get power, you find them trying to do the same things. So, again, I repeat what I said earlier on. Politicians should get to a point where the interest of the nation is above our political interest and our political consideration. If the government is doing something that is good, we support the government to do that. If what the government is doing is not good, then we mention it. And if we criticize and condemn the government, not because we want to criticize or condemn, but simply because we feel there is a better way forward, and then we show that way, because Nigeria is ours collectively. If it's not working well, we all lose. If it's working well, we all gain.
All right, before we go, what can ordinary citizens do to push back when politicians turn every issue into politics?
Now, we should speak out. And my advice is, organize yourselves. Don't speak out individually. It would be easy for them to pick you out and deal with you in various ways that will not even come to the notice of the public. So organize yourself. If you form political platforms that can lobby for what is right or speak against what is wrong, it becomes easier for you to achieve your goals than when you are standing alone. I would also advise that those who are better informed and those who, for whatever reason, are opinion leaders and elites in the community, not to keep quiet. We should be talking about these things. Talk to our politicians. I know that they're difficult to access. They're difficult for you to get them and sit down with them one-on-one. But you can write about these things, post about these things in a neutral way, in such a way that you're not personally attacking the people, but you're attacking the issues. And when you do attack the issues, provide better alternatives, so that it's not just attack, but you're showing that this is a way that we can follow. So let's not keep quiet. Let's not accept money from them and keep quiet. I have heard politicians say, and what they're saying is really right, that you didn't vote for me. I gave you money before you voted, so I can do whatever I want. You have no right to say anything. And largely, what these politicians are saying is right. I mean, we go out as ordinary citizens, we collect money from them, we say it's our turn to get money because it's electioneering time, and they give us money, we take it, and then when they get into office, they will behave whatever way they want.
All right.
So let's not take these monies. Let's be neutral, and then we can neutrally speak to them.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Agoso Bamaiyi, for joining us this morning and, sharing your insight on what is going on when it comes to, politicizing issues in the nation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.